Hello, so I'm making this video today because in one of my Facebook groups, a woman had a question that I've had for a long time. And I'm going to share with you my answer to that question and hope that it will be a blessing to you. So her question had to do with Lot. Lot offers, in the story of Lot, we have two men that are angels that come to him, and the men of Sodom and Gomorrah, they want to have their way with these men. And in this whole situation, Lot offers his daughters. And so the question is, how are we to process that Lot would offer up his virgin daughters? Does that mean that we have no worth? Does that mean that we are expendable? I mean, I know these are angels, but these young women, do they deserve that? And I want to start with this preface that just because it's in the Bible does not mean it is approved by the Father. And also this, even if a righteous man does it doesn't mean it's right. We've seen that David was a man after Yah's own heart, yet he has the whole affair with Bathsheba. So let's just start there and remember that just because it's a true story and it's in the Bible and that the Father wants us to know about it, does not mean that he has said, I am happy about this. It's just part of the story. But we can also look at other parts of the Bible. We're going to go to the New Testament to find out what Lot's character was. So Peter actually tells us what Lot's character was. For 2 Peter 2, 6 through 9 we'll probably read, says, in regards to, he talked about Noah being saved, and turning the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah into ashes, condemned them with an overthrow, making them an example unto those that after should live ungodly, and delivered just Lot, vexed with the filthy conversation of the wicked, for the righteous man dwelling among them, in seeing and hearing, vexed his righteous soul from day to day with their unlawful deeds. And John knows how to deliver the godly out of temptation, and to reserve the unjust unto the day of judgment to be punished. So in reference to Lot's salvation, we are told he was a righteous man and that he was vexed day after day with the behavior of the people of Sodom and Gomorrah. So a few things. At the beginning of the story, Lot is out in the city square. He meets the men and he brings them into his house. This is probably because he's so vexed with the sort of behavior that happens in Sodom and Gomorrah. And you can kind of look up the history of the way they would attack the strangers and what they would do. That he's out there to protect anyone. He's like, okay, you're going to need to stay somewhere for the night. Come on into my place. And he had the knowledge that in that place, there's something called a threshold covenant, meaning that if you bring someone into your home, you've then committed your life to save and protect them in your home. So Lot is this hospitable man, just like Abraham was. He's been told by these angels that the city is going to be destroyed. When he's got them in his home, he wants to save the city. But he has them in their home. The men come to the house knowing that he's brought them into the home. These men, these sodomites, we named a whole behavior after them because of what they were known for, come to his door and they're yelling at him that they want these men. We know Lot goes outside of the house because the angels have to pull them back in later. While he's outside of the house, this is when he offers his daughters. This is an interesting thing for me because I'm going to say that, yes, we're going to make some assumptions here. We are going to assume that he's a righteous man, that a righteous man would not want to give his daughters up to these wicked men, and that he also wants to protect these holy men that have come into his home. He is outside of his home in front of a group of vicious, vile men, and he's speaking to them, and they're saying, give us the men that are inside your home. He is without protection as he speaks to them, knowing that these men are sodomites. They have a preference. They want the beautiful men, not the young women. So he offers his young daughters with his mouth. but he knows very well that this is going to make them mad. It is my personal belief that Lot offers his daughters knowing that it's going to enrage the crowd and knowing it may mean his life, that these men may take out their wrath upon him. But being a righteous man who has made this covenant to protect not just the men who've crossed into his threshold, but the women who live in his household, that he will lay his life down to this angry mob above actually giving his daughters, because I think they would have been out there with him, and we're not told that the angels brought him and the daughters in. We're just told him and the daughters survive for the story later on, which kind of shows us that they're not exactly as innocent or as young as we thought that they might be in the story. But I do believe he's a sort of Messiah character. He is willing to lay down his life to these angry men in order to protect the angels that have come to his home and essentially his daughters. I don't think he ever intended to give up his daughters. And I think this is just very true because also this week my daughter was studying the Torah portion, and in the Hebrew there's this idea that Lot is lagging. He's going very slowly. He doesn't really want to leave. And we know that this is true because Lot's wife turns around, but yet he's righteous. He's vexed by these people. Why would he be like, is his heart longing to be with the sinful again? Or is his heart, like many of us today, just sad when we see judgment poured out? Especially when we live with these people. We're sinful too. We know it. We're not perfect too. We know it. And here judgment is being poured out on other humans, and it's a confliction that we have within ourselves. But it's exactly what verse 9 says here. He knows how to save the godly out of temptation and to reserve the unjust for the day of judgment. The thing about Sodom and Gomorrah that I also believe about the Father is that he knew there'd be no repentance. He knew that no matter how long he allowed them to continue, there would be no repentance, only more and more vile behavior and probably death of righteous people within their gates. So he had to act. He had to act. And this is the nature of the Father. He waits until, quote, the cup is full to destroy people, cities, countries. Sodom's cup had been very full. And it had vexed Lot so much. And yet he was still sad because he looked at the individuals much like we do today. The church is very sad today because they don't like that judgment is coming down around people that they think are quaint or charming or cute. Because they have that human nature that doesn't hate sin as much as the Father hates sin. And doesn't trust the Father. So we baby people in their sin rather than confronting their sin so that they can receive redemption and salvation and a change of heart. Oh, the beautiful stories of the change of hearts. But the church doesn't like that. They want to coddle them. And that's not going to do anything but bring them to a day of judgment. And they'll be very surprised. If you watched my other videos, it's important that none of us are surprised on that day. None of us wants to hear, "Depart from me, I never knew you, worker of iniquity." And I'm not going to be guilty of not telling you that there is a law that the Father has given. According to Psalm 119, the man after Yah's heart, each verse, the longest chapter of the Bible, each verse speaks of a statute, a law, a decree, and that they're good. There's nothing wicked about the law of Yah. If you don't like something, it's probably something in your heart, not something wrong with the law. We have to remember, and this is another thing, we have to remember that even if we think something is unrighteous, if the Father says it is, the problem's with us. So, this is my personal belief, and when I look through the passage, what I see, and when I reconcile what the Bible tells us about Lot and what I know about the Father, he cares for us. He loves us. There are many women in this word that were redeemed. He loves us. And he's not looking at us as a piece of trash that is something to be thrown away. So I hope that this made sense. And if you want a longer look into this, we definitely could look at some of the other options that are there, because I could probably go on for another half hour. But this is the short version. I hope it helped. Bye.